The National Hispanic Hero Award is a testimonial, a recognition of contributions made by extraordinary individuals who have unselfishly given of themselves in a lifetime of dedicated service to the Hispanic community of the United States. It is with great pride and pleasure that we now introduce you to this year's recipient of the National Hispanic Hero Award. Henry Cisneros was born in San Antonio, Texas on June 11, 1947. He is the oldest of 5 children of George and Elvira Cisneros.
Lived all my life in the heart of the West Side, which is the Mexicano community, the Mexicano colonia of San Antonio. I have often said that my upbringing was like living the Norman Rockwell picture, but with all the faces brown.
Henry breezed through Catholic schools in San Antonio and graduated high school at the age of 16.
In our family, there was never any real question that we wouldn't go to college because my dad just absolutely insisted. He had not had college himself, but he never countenanced the fact that we would not go to college. And I was the oldest of the children, and I think they put a lot of emphasis on my going to college so it would set the pattern for the rest of the family.
Henry attended A&M University, where he joined the Corps of Cadets, an experience that began to mold his leadership capabilities. He was selected to be Sergeant Major of the Texas Aggie Band and later named Commander.
It was a great place to grow up, mature, turn into a young man without any prejudices or any self-doubt or any lacking of self-confidence. I mean, he just sort of grew into a leadership role.
In 1968, the United States erupts in race violence, and it marks a pivotal point in the life of Henry Cisneros.
In 1968 is when I developed a public consciousness, a sense of public obligation, and a real intuitive, deep-seated personal sense that my life was going to be about making our country better on the domestic agenda, on the income agenda, on the poverty agenda, on the cities agenda, on the education agenda.
And it was on June 1st, 1969, that Henry marries his high school sweetheart, Mary Alice. The Cisneros moved to Washington, where Henry becomes the youngest person ever to be named White House Fellow, serving under Elliot Richardson, then Secretary of Health, Education, and Welfare. After his fellowship ended, Cisneros attended Harvard University, where he earned a master's degree in public administration, and in 1975, he received a doctoral degree from George Washington University. Now, 6 years after leaving San Antonio, it was time to come home.
I came home at 26, summer of 1974, started teaching at the University of Texas, San Antonio, and was persuaded by my students to run for the city council, which I did in April of 1975 and was elected the youngest council member in San Antonio history at that point.
In 1981, Henry Cisneros decided to run for mayor of San Antonio.
The standard model for becoming mayor of San Antonio was to be about 65 years old and have been chairman of the Chamber of Commerce and head of all of the major civic organizations, and then you were anointed by the business establishment to be the mayor. Well, here was a 32-year-old college professor from the West Side who was Hispanic, and there had not been a Hispanic mayor of San Antonio since the fall of the Alamo, when Juan Seguin was the mayor in the 1830s.
It was a blowout election, with Cisneros receiving 95% of the Latino and black vote and 42% of the white vote, a clear message for change.
He brought about economic development to San Antonio, made the mayor's office responsible for that. He built bridges between the inner city Hispanic and the largely north side Anglo population. He put in tremendous city resources in building up the infrastructure for the inner city. And best of all, he energized voters. More people turned out in 1981 to vote up to that time, and since that time, we've never exceeded that total.
Henry Cisneros served 4 terms as mayor of San Antonio. and while in office, becomes the first Mexican-American to be interviewed for the office of Vice President for Walter Mondale. In 1990, Cisneros turns down a run for governor and also an appointment as a U.S. Senator because of his son's health. His son recovers, and Henry Cisneros returns to public service. In 1993, President Bill Clinton nominated Cisneros to serve as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development.
The HUD years were good years for me. I learned the country. This is a big nation. But I went to every single one of the 50 states and over 200 different cities, and some of them I really got my teeth into.
Within 18 months of his appointment, Cisneros began to make a noticeable difference. Old and dangerous housing projects were torn down across the nation, and tenants were moved to better housing in better neighborhoods. Cisneros clearly wanted to do more on his watch.
One of the things that I can recall the most was the day that we brought 17 national Hispanic organizations to meet with President Bill Clinton. And what struck me the most was where he positioned himself at the table, and it was actually right next to the president. And the organizations all sat around him. And he told the president, he started the meeting by saying, "Mr. President, it's not that you're not doing something, it's just that you're not doing enough."
When Mary Alice and I came back to San Antonio in 2000 to our home neighborhood, this is 1 block from where she went to school, 6 blocks from her mother's house, about 1 mile from my parents' house. We decided we would live here in my grandparents' old home, and we refurbished it. But we noticed that all around us were crack houses and boarding houses and deteriorated empty houses and families without resources and children who were not performing well in school. We live in one of the poorest census tracts in the city. So we contributed a house that had become available in the renovation of our own house and had it completely architecturally done, designed, and rebuilt. And that now is the learning center for the children of the neighborhood, 25 of whom come after school every day for a rigorous program that not only is going to teach them academically, but also competitive and character education, teaching them chess and Scrabble and lessons of life, but also endow them each with a scholarship to college, even though today they're only 3rd through 5th graders. In addition, we have refurbished homes in the neighborhood, buying them up as they become available, fixing them and putting young families who are the next Latino middle class, the next breakthrough families whose children are going to be doctors and lawyers and future mayors and hopefully one day President of the United States.
We were so happy that Mr. Cisneros came back to the neighborhood where he grew up. He knows this neighborhood. But also he was willing to work together with our church, because our goals are the same. We want to work for the good of the neighborhood, for the good of the families, for the good of the families and the people that live here.
If I would encapsulate Henry, it's his dedication to making the lives of people around him just a little bit better every day, and every day of his life.
And whether it be talking to conservative, moralistic people, or open-minded, new agers, or the poorest of people from California or Texas, and the richest of people from Upper East Side, Henry has that ability to listen and help.
When he was little, his name is Enrique, or Henry in English, but his grandfather right away said he's a Kiko. That's the nickname that my father said for Enriquez, And I can't say, "Hi, Henry." I say, "Hi, Kiko." And I know that might embarrass him, but it's because, to me, I love him very much, and I love him as a Kiko. And I will always continue to say I love my Kiko very much.
We're very proud of you. We're proud of what you do for a living. We're proud of who you are as a father and a human being. Congratulations. I just want to say I love you.
Henry has inspired all of us in the family to serve and to make a difference. Even in my city council race that I'm running now, he's inspired me, and I'm proud of you, honey. And I love you, and I just want to tell you, we're going into our 60s singing and dancing with our grandchildren beside us. And honey, it's not over yet. I love you.
Today, Henry Cisneros has recently finished editing a book about Latino home and neighborhood design called Casa y Comunidad. He continues to build quality, affordable housing for our communities and has taken on the challenge of shaping the minds of our young future leaders.
Thank you, American Centers, for helping me, my brother and sister do better in school.
I don't want to slow down. I want to work as long as I can doing this work. I believe in our country. I believe in our people. I believe those two go together. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it is the best combination, the best synergy for the American future.
On behalf of the Board of Directors and the staff of the United States Leadership Institute and the 25th Annual National United States Hispanic Leadership Conference, we salute you.